Hello and welcome to So You Think You're Awake, the show all about dreams and their meanings. I'm Michael Sheridan and it's my job to set the record straight about dreams. Before we start, I want to remind you that Heidi Brooke will be appearing at the Project Art Centre in Bellevue tomorrow at 7 p.m. It's a free talk on channeling. She's going to channel for a few people in attendance and possibly give some clues as to how people in the audience can channel. So don't miss that. So last week I did a dream, trying to think of the theme of it. The one with the first dream I did with bees that told the dreamer that her issue was in her own childhood, her mom not having enough time for her and how that hurt her because her mom was busy with work. And she wrote in after the show and said, "I wanted to thank you for your interpretation today. I started crying. It really struck a chord with me. I had no idea that was what was holding me back. I have sensed an issue from the past, but I was unable to figure it out. I will start working towards accepting that. I am not going to leave my kids feeling abandoned if I begin working. Thanks again." So that's really good, and thanks for sending that in. Our symbol this week is taken from our first dream, so let's have a look. And it's Princess Diana. Gosh, you'd think it would be easy to find pictures of Princess Diana, but it's not. So she symbolizes spiritual leadership, but because she's a princess, she symbolizes that it's something you still need to come into, like you have the potential. Almost like it's an untapped potential, like you've skirted around it, but you haven't really done it. Why is it untapped? It's because a princess isn't the queen yet. They haven't reached the top level of the monarchy. But I see we have some difficulties with today's show, so I'm not sure if pieces are cutting out or not. But Princess Diana, because she's dubbed the Princess of Hearts, is ideal because spiritual leadership works through the heart, works through female energy, and requires openness and compassion and listening skills, all female energy traits. So let's have a look at the first dream. And of course it's called Princess Diana. She says, I dreamt, let's put some stuff up here. I dreamt that Princess Diana was on a bus with her father when she died. In this version was driven into a large body of water and died when the bus filled up with water. I heard her asking for help repeatedly and couldn't imagine how scared she was as it filled up with water. I also imagined that part of the reason why she couldn't escape was because she was getting cancer treatments and had IVs in her veins and in her lungs. I imagined that the driver was too frightened and inexperienced to pull the IVs so that she could get away. I then imagined that if it were me, I would have cut the lines and left the needles in the skin. That way I didn't injure her, but she could still escape. I have no idea why diet is written on the screen there. That just shows you it's a live show. So we start off, we have Princess Diana. I already explained her. It means spiritual leadership. Not the leadership we're typically used to, especially these days, but it's the positive side where you listen to people and help them in a way that they no longer need your help once you've helped them. And then the bus driver is interesting then. That says that this person, when you look at what a bus driver does, they bring people from where they are to where they need to go, but does it for a group of people. And each person in the group may have a different place to go, just like on a bus journey. So the person's able to do group leadership. They're able to help people and work with people in groups. Of course, they can work individually, but it's good to know that it works with groups here as well. But you say that Princess Diana died. I'd say that meant to say died instead of died. So this is about your spiritual leadership ability dying. And of course, it hasn't died, but the dream is saying you're letting it die, or you need to do something to make sure it doesn't die. And the rest of the dream is going to give us some clues. So you say he was on a bus with her driver when she died. In this version, she was driven into a large body of water. So we have the large body of water. So water in dreams represents spirituality. So it's like you've got a deep spirituality or a large body that you are here to share with people. Died when the bus filled up with water. I heard her asking for help repeatedly and couldn't imagine how scared she was as it filled up with water. So this is about fears from your own life and you needing to ask for help. So you obviously have gotten help at other points in your life, so you know how useful it is for people when you help them. Yeah, we've covered all of that. That's okay. So what have we got next? We have IVs in her veins. Okay. You say, I also imagine that part of the reason why she couldn't escape was because she was getting cancer treatments and had IVs in her veins and in her lungs. So IVs are about an addiction, or anything that really that sticks into your skin in a dream is going to be about an addiction, or habits. Habits is probably the better way to put this. So it's not saying you actually have an addiction, but it's saying you have habits that you need to free yourself from. And these habits, they always come from childhood. Should be no surprise to hear me say that over and over and over again. You say that you imagine, and of course you don't see yourself, it's not you in the dream, it's Princess Diana, so it's one of these interesting dreams, but it's still all about you. I imagine that the driver was too frightened and inexperienced to pull out the IVs. So this is about you feeling frightened and inexperienced, and you're not. You know, clearly if you have this dream, you have the abilities. Not saying you're not frightened, but so here's the way it works. We don't just come with the abilities and everything else that's rosy. We come with particular abilities, and then we also have, we have to overcome things that hold us back. So your fears and feeling of being inexperienced is one of the things that you need to overcome. And that's how you're going to learn about yourself. So, the spiritual ability you have in spades, and you're going to use that to help other people. But in overcoming your own issues, in order to use that ability, you're going to help yourself. So that's how it works. Anyway, the bus driver didn't want to pull out the IVs. So what have we got next? You say, I then imagined if it were me, I would have cut the lines and left the needles in the skin. Okay, so this is all about cutting the ties with most likely your mom. It's hard to tell sometimes in some dreams, and we need to see a few dreams to get it, but because it's in Princess Diana, it's going to be about your mom this time. And of course, the fears and all this, being afraid to pull out the IV, the bus driver being afraid to pull out the IV, this is what you have to do. You have to overcome your fears, deal with the issues in childhood, and then get into your spiritual leadership ability. And that's it. So it's a pretty good dream. I always wonder if we lose listeners every single time I do a dream, because each dream is saying this is something you need to do, that you're aware of, that you haven't gotten on with before in your life. So let's have a look at the next dream. This one, she says, I'm on an island and I need to swim. I'll read the dream first. I need to swim a body of water to get to the mainland. You're getting the theme here with the bodies of water. I put belongings in a white garbage bag, worried it would leak. I put it in another white bag and then another white bag. I blow air into the bag so that they would float. I get to the beach and my two sisters are there with their white garbage bags to swim to the mainland with me. When we arrive, there is a huge navy blue ship in the harbour. Hundreds of scuba divers in the water, all wearing navy blue. My sister Susie was on the beach. My sister Nancy and I were in the grass. We were suddenly being pelted with water from a sprinkling system that shot up from the ground. Nancy and I were running back from the beach, not sure what happened to Susie. She seemed a bit paralysed. It seemed shorter than that in print, so let's have a look at it from the top. So on the island, islands are about keeping yourself separate from others, that you don't want people to get close because you were hurt in the past. And so if I live on an island, symbolically, basically nobody else can get near to me. I have this defense. So that's what it's about. So it's always about emotional issues and feelings. So it's very likely, even though I'm getting messages, it's very likely buffering it and you're not getting any breaks. So I'll just continue on. So get into the body of water. So you need to get into life. This is something you need to do. But of course, you're separating yourself from life. That's what the island is about. You're keeping people at a distance. So that's going to be a painful thing for you to do. So we expect to see pain coming up there. Anyway, this is to get to the mainland. Of course, getting to the mainland is getting to where everybody else is, or connecting yourself with everybody else. Then you say, you put your belongings into a white garbage bag. So this is all about baggage that you're carrying around. The white can indicate that because it's the only colour mentioned in the dream here at this point, that you're overly critical. And this would generally be, yeah, you may be overly critical of other people, but you're definitely overcritical of yourself. And this is part of the baggage that you're carrying around, that you're critical of yourself. And of course, it's a garbage bag. We should throw garbage bags out, anything that's in a garbage bag out. So that's a pity that's gone that way in the dream. I mean, that you're carrying it. You say you're worried it would leak, and you put it into another white bag and then another white bag. So it's like you're doubling up on this critical nature. It's all, you know, if I'm critical, I'm protecting myself. I keep others away. Remember, that's the start of the dream. But you know, it's a pity it's that way. You say you blow air into the bag so that they would float. We have that here, blow air into the bag so that they would float. So this is like, so somebody has probably deflated you recently, and the blowing of the air into the bags is about boosting yourself, giving yourself a boost again. And so how did somebody deflate you? So somebody would have hurt you recently or else in the past, well, definitely in the past. And this is you trying to recover from that, trying to restore buoyancy. But of course, you need to get to the point where others can't hurt you, because you can be open around others and not be hurt. And of course, it's easy to say, I understand that. You get to the beach. The beach is about your spiritual approach. So you get to the beach and your two sisters are there with their white garbage bags to swim to the mainland with me. So this says it's a family thing. So we know it's a family influence. Probably your sisters are like you too, but you can see the traits in your sister, but you can't see them in yourself. But the traits I'm focusing on are being critical of yourself. So you can probably see them doing that and are unaware that you do it too, to whatever degree you do it. When we arrive, okay, so this part's interesting. When we arrive, there is a huge navy blue ship in the harbour. So this is about your arrival on the planet, and the harbour tells us that as well, because a harbour is where ships birth. So this is about your birth. And when we see your birth, we expect to see what abilities you brought with you. But also, because we see your birth, we know that this, that what you picked up goes right back to birth. It's not just something recently that hurts you. It's something that hurt you in the past, and that's why you're living on an island in the first place. You say there's a huge navy blue ship in the harbour. So the navy blue ship, navy blue, is about having a negative philosophy of life, expecting bad things to happen, that kind of way. But you say it's a huge navy blue ship. Now remember, you arrive, you're tiny, so the huge navy blue ship is probably going to be Mom or something, and they name ships, women's names too. So it's saying, most likely, and because of the sisters appearing in the dream, that you picked this up from your mom, that she had this attitude herself. You say there is also hundreds of scuba divers in the water, all wearing navy blue. So this is your ability. The scuba diving represents an ability to travel to the spirit world and go deep spiritually. So you came here to do that, to go deeper spiritually. But scuba divers, because they can breathe in the water, are a good symbol for channeling, and that's what it is. You have the ability to channel. So let's move on. You say, my sister Susie was on the beach, my sister Nancy and I don't know anything about these sisters, so we can't comment on them. But typically we would look at their traits, whatever their strong negative or positive traits are. My sister Nancy and I were in the grass. The grass is green, so fits in with the heart theme that we have in this dream. We were suddenly being pelted with water from a sprinkling system that shot up from the ground. So the being pelted is life hitting you, but it's because it's other people around, it's like you get hurt by other people just throwing things at you, not physical. Nancy and I were running back from the beach, so this is okay. So because life is painful, because of emotional pain, I step back from even an approach that would allow me to develop my channeling ability. So this is going to be a hard one for you to overcome. Not sure what happened to Susie. She seemed a bit paralyzed. So again, this is about you. It's not about your sisters. So it's like your female energy flow is inhibited because of the start to life you got, the negative attitude, that the heavy philosophy of life that your mom had, that you picked up. It was funny when I heard this dream, because of the emphasis on the garbage bags, I was saying, like, did somebody trash talk you or call you white trash. And as it turns out with the comments below, that was exactly what happened, that the dreamer's sister had been talking badly about her, and that's where the recent pain, and that's what the water shooting up from the sprinkler system coming up from the ground and pelting the dreamer is about. So it's always interesting to see dreams what really, well, I like the dream. I don't necessarily like the life and the everything else it's describing for you. I mean, that is painful. But let's have a look at our next one. So a very short dream here. Dreamer says, I dreamed I was at the library trying to check out 2 books. So the library means that the dreamer is a counsellor. She has counselling skills. And there are lots of things go with this. And she maybe has only given us a short bit of a dream because it's really, really small. Only 4 sentences here, I think. So she's there trying to check out these 2 books. 2 books is about channeling. We don't know whether she can channel or not, but definitely she's a counsellor. But the library is also symbolising something else here. And our own abilities show up in our dreams to help us. So not surprising we have the library. They told me I could not check them out because they were only for reading in the library. But I have had them both checked out before. They said that the books were only for reading in the library. So this is basically, this library symbolizes the Akashic records, and the checking out the 2 books is about channeling the Akashic records because of the 2. So you want to access the Akashic records while in your physical body, while your consciousness is in the physical body, and you're being told you can't do that. You're not allowed to do it. So it means these are guides telling you this. So it means this is not part of your life purpose this time around. And you say, but I've checked them out before, and this is true. You did live a life before where you did have access to the Akashic records, but that's not this life. And this is one of the things that we can sometimes do. We can fall into habits that we had from old lifetimes, where it was important for us to do a particular thing. And we start off this lifetime, or at least get into our spirituality this lifetime, and then start thinking, oh, this is something I need to do. But it's only because of the lingering effect of a past life. At least that's what this dribble is saying. So you're not meant to do it. And they say only for reading in the library. So this means that you can read them between lifetimes. And of course, when you leave your body, you can access the Akashic records. So when we leave our bodies in sleep, we have total access to, we know what our life is about. We know everything, the whole spiritual purpose behind it. So given that we know all of that when we're on the astral plane, how is it when we get back into our bodies, we know so little? Well, so life is about shoring up that gap and getting in touch with what our life is really about and living the spiritual life that we came here to live. I mean, life is about learning about ourselves, increasing our awareness, and bringing that increased awareness to the spirit plane. But it doesn't help for us to just take shortcuts and try access information that is not part of what we're meant to do this lifetime. There's lots of reasons why, but just accept that it's not. And you're told by the authorities in the dream, authorities being your guides, unless I was a detective. If I were a detective, I could check out 1 book, but I wasn't a detective. So a detective in a dream symbolizes somebody who can do the background work and has access to records to do background checks on people and so on. But you don't. It's not that you don't have the skill. You clearly had it in a lifetime before. Don't try to develop it in this one, at least not this way. You're here to do readings, all right, because you're told that you're here for readings and you can do readings. But don't try access Akashic records. You'll be told everything you need to be given to other people. Do I have anything else? When you reach a certain level, you can always can. So when we achieve the guide level and we come here as a guide, guides can always access the Akashic records. But of course, guides don't tend to abuse the authority they have. It's taken time to get to where they are. Let's have a look at our last dream. So this one is a bit long, so I'll do the breakdown as I go through it. The dreamer says, in my dream I was hanging out in some building or institution where I felt like I did not belong. So I'll do this one kind of fast, and I have up on the screen the theme really that's important at the different parts. So he's saying, I felt I didn't belong. I was just hanging out. I was wondering why I was there. So now this guy already knows why he's here, but he's still, oh yeah, I wonder why I'm here. One of the in that phase. I was there to pass my time. No, you're not. You're never here just to pass your time. That is why I'm using the term hanging out. I think I see my late wife there, but I do not remember interaction with her. So his wife passed some time ago. I won't get into that. I see a pope, not just the pope, I see a pope. So that's interesting. Because there's only ever one, taken to get his regular shower by some of his aides. He has a towel around his neck. They're standing on some altar stairs. He looks like the one pope that resigned. So now do you see the theme? I'm just passing time. I'm hanging out. I'm wondering why I'm here. I'm going to pretend nobody's ever told me that. We know it's spiritual leadership because that's what the Pope stands for, symbolizes the head of the Catholic Church. So quite a significant figure then in a dream. But I'm the Pope that resigned, and I'm not the Pope. So it's a Pope. It's like, so even knocking it down a little bit. But so it's saying I've resigned from my duties, and you can't. I mean, you can do that, but then you're going to be taken off the planet, and that's not what you want to do. So there's no point living a life that doesn't allow you achieve your spiritual purpose. So be careful of having that attitude. You say it's like Benedict the 16th, and Benedict means blessed, so it means you're blessed. So you have this spiritual leadership ability, but you obviously don't think you do. White hair like him. He's complaining there is no water to shower with in that institution. So this is about you complaining. And you obviously grew up in a religious institution or in a strongly religious way, and complaining because of the influence of that culture. I get that as a message, and of course the shower is about cleansing that, clearing it, but you say there's no water there. So the water could symbolize there not being a spiritual connection in the religion. So this is about you. It's not about the religion itself. It's about your views and how what you were raised with holds you back. You say, I get that as a message. So you're able to get messages. You say you try to tell people who I meet that there's no water there. So it's like, this is important, that you get information, and this is connected with your spiritual leadership ability. So next we have, suddenly some people like medical workers are looking for me. 2 of them want to draw my blood. So we have 2, so getting messages on 2 medical workers. So you're able to channel for sure. I'm worried, I do not like it. I give them my left arm. One of them shows the other how actually to do it. He takes out some medical device that has a light and soft touch, like a tiny soft straight wire that when passed over my hand, mostly my left thumb, like a blade of grass, it cut my skin almost painlessly and I bleed. He also does it in such a way that I am not expecting it. Okay, so what is that about? So blood in dreams, like water, represents spirituality. So this is like in your blood. This is something that you need to do. And I don't know why we're not getting the title of this dream showing up. So I'm just going to try find it here. There it is. Must fix that. So writing in blood is the title of the dream. So we know it's the dream is about your writing skill, writing ability that you brought with you. And then you say, and this is it very clearly, I am asked after I bleed to dip a paintbrush in my blood and write on a piece of paper. So you're being asked to write from your core, write about your life, is it, and family and so on. So the blood is about the writing is, the spiritual ability of writing is in your blood, and it's also about writing about your family and religious influences and all that. That's all part of what you're meant to do. I can see right away that the paintbrush I'm supposed to write with is wide for painting. So this is you complaining, finding a fault with your ability. And I'll come back to that in a second. It almost feels like it was made out of feathers. Now that's really good. So feathers in dreams represent a connection with the higher realms because birds fly. They're typically higher than us when we're looking at them. So it's about connecting with your higher self. I'm thinking I need a tiny brush. So again, I want a tiny brush. So I want all the detail because a tiny brush is going to allow me right detail, whereas the large brush is just going to be too wide and smear across the page and so on. And again, we're going to come back to that smearing later on. You say, one that I can write with, I try to write, but it just smears on almost half of that piece of paper I was given. I complain. How am I going to write this when it smears like that? I think I'm getting some other tool to write with, still using my blood coming from my thumb, and I'm trying to dip in and write. I'm amazed how my blood keeps coming and it is still fresh and wet and it's not clotting, so I can still write. So if you're thinking your writing ability is gone, no, it's not. It's still there. It hasn't coagulated. It hasn't died on you. But your fear is about writing things that smear others. And that's really the problem here, that, you know, if I write in this style, other people will be caught in my brushstroke. So you need to deal with that, overcome that, and don't be waiting for the details. What else is significant in that? Oh, well, we'll see it in this next piece here, which is number 6. Then the medical worker that is asking me to write starts telling me stuff and talking to me about things, and I become distracted. So this is about you becoming distracted, so much so that I cannot concentrate on writing. I ask him, how am I supposed to write while you were talking to me all the time and I cannot concentrate? So this is really it. I wrote it a different way there. You're complaining to the medical worker, but the medical worker is your guide because he has a title. He's more than a guide. He's a healing agent. He's actually starting the flow for you by pricking your skin. So he's there to help you get the writing started. So I suspect something recently has you really thinking about this. But your fears about tarring religious institutions or tarring your family, I'm not sure if that's in it or what, but basically having too wide of a brush stroke in what you're doing is one of the problems, is the problem that you need to overcome. So that's it. Overcome your religious upbringing and just start writing, please. So that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope the live stream issues didn't interrupt. If you like this video, please hit like on YouTube. And if you subscribe on YouTube, what it does is it emails you every time I upload a video. It doesn't send you advertising, it just tells you about videos that I upload to the channel. Somebody wrote and asked me that during the week, and I thought that was interesting because, of course, I've never said that. Details about upcoming courses and events are always on my website, dream-analysis.com. Please go there and check it out. Also go to dream-analysis.com and you will find a form there for submitting your dreams for the show. And I'll put a link to that and a link to Heidi's talk tomorrow in Bellevue under this show too. So setting the record straight on dreams, I'm Michael Sheridan, and I'll see you next week. And until then, I will leave you with this quote. Stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution.